G'day trendsetters, before I kick off today's video, first a word from the video sponsor, FSA Full Speed Ahead. To flare or not to flare? That is the question. Whether you're into flared handlebars for your gravel bike or something more traditional, FSA has you covered with handlebars built from aluminium, aluminum or carbon fiber in compact drop and everything else. They also have a complete range of products for your gravel bike, including these fantastic FSA Gossamer Pro cranks with the 4630 AGX chain rings, meaning you can climb some serious walls during your next gravel cycling adventure. You can check out their entire range of products at fullspeedahead.com. Now it's time to crack on with the video. G'day trendsetters, I am John with Gravel Cyclist and I'm coming to you today with a video concerning one of my personal bikes. This be a rather rare Ritchey Breakaway titanium cyclocross bike. Ritchey hasn't made this bike for many years and they do have some other fine machines around the place. But get this bike features rim brakes. Are you f***ing crazy, man? You can't ride gravel with rim brakes. I mean, seriously, what the hell? Well, that's not true. I began riding on the gravelly roads less travelled way back in 2006. First aboard a mountain bike, then about a year later, I started riding the cyclocross bikes, which I thought was a pretty handy tool for the job. And here we are in 2022 and this bike's still sticking around. This bike has taken me to the completion of several serious events in the past, including Crusher in the Tusher. There's some serious mountains in Utah. Yet those brakes worked. The Taiwan Kingler Mountain Challenge, Gravel Worlds in Lincoln, Nebraska, and Almanzo 100 in Minnesota, to name a few. The bike's next adventure is heading over to Finland for a pre-ride of FNLD GRVL. I cannot wait. But I wanted to talk about the bike real quick because I've made some updates since the last video I posted about it some time ago. So let's get cracking into the meat of this video. One thing I need to clarify quickly, I typically carry with me on these trips a full-size gravel bike in my Evoke Road Bike Bag Pro case, but due to some of the rules involving transport of bicycles on the roadways in Finland, I understand you cannot transport a bike in a big full-size case. I think if the bike is outside of the case, no worries at all. So consequently, that's not going to work. I land in Helsinki, then what do I do to the case? But there is some good news because if you desire, you can transport your bike in a case, I understand, via bus. And the event, FNLD GRVL, I also understand will be offering packages of transport, accommodation and more. So be sure to keep an eye on their website, fnldgrvl.com. For those folks who do not understand what is so special about this bike, in a nutshell, the frame breaks into two pieces and it fits into a very small airline regulation case. Now that's not such a huge point nowadays considering many airlines allow you to fly a full-size bike without being penalised. The bike breaks into junction points. One is just above the bottom bracket. There's a clamp that wraps around the join there with a fixing bolt, and the other half is joined at the top of the frame where the seat tube and top tube meet. Basically, the seat post holds the top half of the frame together and there's two serious pinch bolts in place. Speaking of bolts, I've replaced every single bolt on this bicycle with titanium. I didn't want to see a speck of rust anywhere on this fine looking machine. A couple of the changes I've made, I've installed an FSA K-Force compact drop carbon fiber handlebar, and I'm going to wrap it pretty soon with some nice white FSA handlebar tape. I've already got white going on here, and people might say, you crazy, why would you want to run white bar tape and white saddle no less upon a bike that goes on the gravelly roads less travelled? Well, looks pretty clean, isn't it? And actually it isn't that hard to keep clean, to be honest with you, and I like how it looks. It's classy as f***. Speaking of coloration, the white saddle is a Physique Arione. I would be running a Ergon SR Pro if it was available in white. Hint, hint, Ergon, if you're watching. Well, hello Tuesday. Other changes relate to the wheel set. This is an American Classic from the old American Classic company, carbon 40 wheel set, 40 millimeters in deep, rim brake obviously, and I converted it to tubeless. It's running low pressure, Panaracer Gravel King SK tyres in 700C by 38 millimeter. Clearance on the front's pretty good. On the back it gets a bit tight with the SRAM Red E-Tap front derailleur, namely the battery. It's real tight and there's about 2 millimeters of clearance, but they have changed that with the Access versions. There's better clearance on those derailleurs. Which leads me to the drivetrain. It's an all SRAM Red E-Tap 11-speed 2x affair. This group set's been around for quite a while. I think built this bike originally back in 2016, something like that. And get this, the batteries and the shifters, which I should change out, are the originals from when I first purchased the group set. It has been pretty reliable. Man, these dogs are going crazy today. Bloody needy. The other thing about the shifting is beneath the handlebar tape close to the stem, I've installed SRAM blip shifters so I can use my thumbs to change gears from the handlebar tops. Very handy. The stem and seat posts, those are titanium items I picked up off eBay. I'm not sure of the brand actually. They look pretty sharp. I also have a FSA K4 stem at my disposal, which I may or may not substitute. And speaking of FSA, the sponsor of this video, the crankset there is the FSA SLK Adventure crank, which features a 46 big chainring and a 30 small chainring. I've been running this crankset for several years, absolutely love it. It's been put through the ringer and it's still kicking, so I can climb some pretty low grades with the 30 chainring in particular. And on the rear of the bike, I run generally anywhere from a 12 to 25, or a 11 to 32, or an 11 to 34. Now that is a short cage SRAM Red E-Tap derailleur, but it will shift up to a 32 tooth cog with a B screw pushed all the way in. And I also have a spare version of this derailleur, although it's the Y-Fly version, so I can shift, I believe, up to a 36 tooth cog. That now brings me to the fork. Beautiful Ritchey WCS carbon straight blade with straight steer tube, no tapering, 1.1 inch, and of course the cantilever brakes, which are my favourites. These are the Avid Shorty Ultimate. They're super adjustable, super easy to set up, and very powerful, at least in my experience. And I have the brake pads towed front and rear, so there's absolutely no shuddering when I hit the skids, so to speak. Do these stop you as well as disc brakes? No. Are they easy to maintain? Yes. Is there rotor rub to worry about? One of the most annoying things about disc brakes? No. Another factoid about the brakes, these are carbon specific pads for these carbon rims obviously. So if you are running rim brakes and use carbon wheels, be sure to run the correct pads. And going back to the bottom bracket area, the bottom bracket itself, English thread, and it's a FSA BB386 compatible bottom bracket for English thread. There's a few negatives about the bike, namely there's not a lot of mounts. Rather, you've got just the two mounting points on the down tube and seat tube for bottle cages. Bottle cages are the King Cage titanium out of Durango, Colorado. Just love those cages, they work so well. Final details, navigation, I always utilize Garmin. Right now I'm running the Garmin 1040 Solar, fantastic computer. I've got a video of that computer linked in the description below covering some of the important details. And the pedals, well, generally I run Shimano XTR, or I have a very long-term review of the Garmin XC200 Power Meter pedals coming. They'll be going to Finland with me on this bike, and hopefully I can present that review to you sometime soon. So there you have it, a video concerning some of the latest updates I've made to my personal Ritchey Breakaway Titanium cyclocross bike that I take onto the gravelly roads less travelled, my gravel travel bike, if you will. As always, thank you for watching. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the Gravel Cyclist YouTube channel for enriching content such as this. No bullshit gravel bike reviews, other product reviews, ride experience videos, as all of it is released to the channel. I'll see you in the next video.